AITA for taking back everything I paid for after my family gave my condo to my brother? My name is Lauren. I am 32 years old, and I work as a corporate account executive at a large sporting goods company in Uptown Dallas. I do all right for myself. It is a demanding but stable job. Pays my bills and I am good at what I do. But this story is not about work. This story is about my family and how they deceived me in the harshest way. First, I have to explain where I live because that is where it all begins. 5 years ago, when I was 27, my parents offered me the family condo. Well, not offered exactly. They actually wanted to rent it to me. That condo had belonged to my dad's grandmother. When she passed away, he kept the place. It was in a really good area close to where I worked in Uptown. I could walk to the office. For me, it was perfect. Lauren, we have been thinking about it. My mom Diane told me with that tone she uses when they have already decided for you. You can go live in your grandmother's condo. We are going to charge you about 3/4 of what it costs around there. It did not surprise me that they wanted to charge me rent. They have always been like that. And more so with me because with me it has always been different than how it has been with my twin brother Jason. Jason and I were born on the same day, but if you saw how they have treated us our whole lives, you would not believe it. They have treated him like their golden child, their pride, their everything. And I was always the other one, the one who could manage on her own since we were kids. They bought him expensive toys for his birthday, the kind everyone wanted. They gave me cheap books because you like to read. When we finished high school, they threw him a huge party with his friends. They gave me a congratulations card. And when Jason wanted to go to college, my parents paid for everything. Enrollment, tuition, whatever was needed. When I wanted to, they told me to take out student loans like everyone else. So yes, in my world it was normal to pay rent to my own parents. I accepted the condo because the location was a blessing, but the place was a disaster. The floor had old carpet, the kind where you did not even know what color it used to be. At first it smelled musty. The walls were painted a horrible yellow that made everything look sad. The bathroom was falling apart, and the kitchen was depressing. Old cabinets, a battered sink, and everything felt like it was from another era, but not a charming one. Even so, I moved in, and over 5 years I practically rebuilt that condo with my own money. And the worst part is that I did it well, just how my mom likes it, consulting her on everything. Before you do anything, let me know, she would tell me, so you do not go and ruin the condo, as if I were a little girl playing house. I removed the old carpet and installed nice laminate flooring in the living room and bedrooms. It was floating flooring, the kind that goes over the surface below without being glued down. I painted all the walls. I fixed the faulty plumbing because there were leaks everywhere. I bought a new refrigerator, a stove, and a dishwasher. I changed the light fixtures, switches, and kitchen details. I poured money into it non-stop, but I also poured in time, effort, and care. I was making it my home in stages. Little by little, it added up to tens of thousands of dollars over the years, and that was with me being careful with spending. And yes, every month I paid my rent right on time like clockwork. My parents would sometimes come by to check, according to my dad Robert, to see their investment. They would arrive, walk around, look at everything, and nod as if they owned an entire building. It is looking really good, my mom would say. It is going to be worth much more when you finish. To be honest, the work did not bother me that much. In fact, I liked it. It made me glad to see that my space looked nice, clean, and to my liking. Even though I paid rent, I felt like it was becoming mine because I was building it up until about a year ago when everything changed. I was 31 years old. I was at peace with my routine, work, condo, and my life. And one day my parents arrived on one of those visits, but they looked serious. That was never a good sign. Lauren, we need to talk, my dad said, and he sat down as if he were going to pass judgment. What happened? I asked, setting my coffee on the table. My mom sighed. We are in trouble with the bank. With what bank? I said because I did not understand. We used the condo as collateral a while ago for a loan, my dad blurted out as if it were the most normal thing, and it piled up on us. We owe about $30,000, and with interest and late fees they are already pressuring us. They are saying that if we do not catch up, they can start the foreclosure process. I froze. And what do you want me to do? I asked, because I could already sense where this was going. My dad looked right at me. We need you to pay it. Just like that, without any shame. We know it is a lot, my mom added quickly. But think of it as an investment. An investment for whom? I said. For you, she said, and even smiled a little. That condo is going to be yours someday. It is going to be mine, I repeated, because with them everything has to be made extremely clear. Of course, my mom said. You are our daughter. We are not going to leave you with nothing. Jason gets the house when we are gone and you get the condo. You have already put a lot into it, Lauren. It is only fair. I had savings from years of working, of not treating myself to luxuries, of living carefully compared to the prices in that area. I had also received good bonuses and commissions during strong seasons. $30,000 was a huge amount, almost everything I had set aside for my future. But if the condo was truly going to be mine, it made sense. It was my home, it was what I had already built. Are you promising me? I asked. That this condo will be mine. Of course, my dad said. We do not forget everything you have done. You already made that place your home. I wanted to believe them. They are your parents. You think, how are they going to lie to me about something like this? So I did it. I arranged it from the bank. I made a bank transfer to them for $30,000. I have the receipt to this day. With that, according to them, the issue with the bank was settled. I kept living there, I kept paying rent, I kept maintaining the condo, and my parents, as if nothing had happened, never brought up the subject of money again. I interpreted it as everything being in order, that the condo was already secured for me, that someday when the time came, the title would be sorted out. And yes, I know what you are thinking. Why did you keep paying rent after giving them that amount? Because that is how they sold it to me. While the bank issue and the paperwork get sorted out, they said, do not make a big deal out of it. And I, as always, accepted the explanation. Up to that point, I kept trying to believe that no matter how twisted they were, they would not go so far with something so serious. And then a few months ago, Jason called me. I was in the office closing a proposal for a client when my cell phone rang. Lauren, I have great news, he told me excitedly. What happened? I asked him, my head still in my work. Stephanie and I are going to get engaged. We are going to have the party in 2 weeks at her parents' house in Plano. You are invited. Obviously. I dropped my pen. Stephanie had been Jason's girlfriend for about 2 years. I knew her from high school. We were in the same class. She was always a nice, smart, pleasant, and down-to-earth girl. I remembered her well. I cannot believe it, Jason. How exciting. I am truly very happy for you, I told him. And it was true. Despite everything my parents did, I loved my brother. It was not his fault that he had been spoiled too much his whole life. Or so I repeated to myself. Thanks, sis. I am glad to hear you like this. Mom and Dad are thrilled. Well, of course, I thought. Their favorite son was going to marry a good girl from a nice family. I will be there, I told him. I would not miss it. I will send you the address by message. I love you, Lauren. I love you too, I answered, hung up, and was left with a smile. For a little while I felt good, as if finally something in my family was normal. Those 2 weeks flew by. I even went to buy a dress, something elegant but simple. I did not want to look over the top at my brother's engagement party. On the day of the gathering, I left in my car heading to Plano mid-afternoon, while it was still light out. It was Saturday, and even so, the Dallas North Tollway was heavy with traffic. It took me quite a while through the congestion and slow-moving cars. I arrived at Stephanie's parents' house, and there were already a lot of people, easily 40 people, her family, high school friends, some relatives I recognized from old gatherings, and of course my parents. As soon as I walked in, Stephanie ran to greet me. Lauren, I am so glad you came, she told me with a smile beaming on her face. Congratulations, I said, hugging her tightly. I am really happy for you and Jason. I wish you the best. Thank you, she told me. Hearing you say it like that means a lot to me. I looked for Jason and saw him near the food table talking with some friends. He was wearing a navy blue suit, well pressed, his hair styled perfectly. You could tell he had prepared. The gathering was going well. People were eating, laughing, toasting. There were appetizers, salads, and cater trays like the ones they usually have at family events. I was honestly having a good time. I ran into 2 friends from high school. We talked about life, work, and do you remember when? And then it happened about an hour later. My dad cleared his throat loudly and raised his voice, drawing everyone's attention. "Excuse me a moment," Robert said with that listen-to-me voice. "If you could give me a minute." Little by little, it grew quiet. Everyone turned to him. My dad stood in the middle of the living room, my mom next to him, both smiling as if they were the stars of the night. "Diane and I want to say a few words," he started. "We are very proud of our son Jason. He has always been an excellent boy, and seeing him so happy with Stephanie truly fills our hearts." People smiled. Some nodded. I thought, it is okay, a bit cheesy but normal. My dad continued, "And that is why we want to give him a very special engagement gift, something that shows how much we love him." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a large envelope. He handed it to Jason. My brother lit up, but the strange thing was that he did not look surprised. Rather, he looked like someone who already knew. "Open it, son," my mom said excitedly. Jason opened the envelope and pulled out a folder. There were copies of the property deed, printouts of paperwork and documents from a title company, a scheduled appointment, a transfer draft, and a list of requirements. It was not the property being handed over at that exact moment, but it was clear what they were preparing. He looked quickly and looked up with a huge smile. "I cannot believe it," he said with a trembling voice. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Dad. This is incredible." "What is it?" someone asked from the back. My mom took a step forward, extremely proud. "They are the papers for the condo in Uptown. The condo where Jason's sister has been living these past few years. We are already getting the process moving, so it goes in Jason and Stephanie's name as a wedding gift." The world came crashing down on me. I heard applause, shouts of congratulations, comments about how generous they were. I saw hands clapping, smiles, people celebrating, and I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. The condo, my condo, the one I had rented for 5 years, the one I had fixed up with my money, the one I had saved with $30,000 a year ago, the one they had promised would be mine. They were giving it to Jason. Stephanie looked at the papers excitedly. "Oh, what a beautiful gift. We were just thinking about looking for a place." My dad raised his voice so everyone could hear. "Jason deserves it. He is getting married. He is going to start a family. They need their own space to begin their lives." I turned to look at my parents, looking for an explanation, an apology, a "we will talk later," even if it was just a look. But when my mom saw me, she just smiled and shrugged her shoulders as if saying, "Well, that is how it is." That was when my Aunt Linda, my mom's sister, stepped in. Aunt Linda has always been one of those people who do not keep quiet. "Wait a minute," she said, and her voice cut through the room. "And what about Lauren? Has she not lived there for years?" A weird silence fell. One of those that makes your skin crawl. Everyone turned to look at me. I felt my face burning. I did not even know where to hide. My dad calmly said, "Lauren has to move out. Of course, we already let her live there for 5 years. I think that has been enough." My mom finished it off. "She is an adult. She can rent somewhere else. There are many condos in the city." They said it as if I had been there for free, as if I had not paid a single month, as if they had done me a favor. I could have stood up and said everything. I could have said I paid rent every month. I could have said I paid for repairs, furniture installations. I could have said I transferred $30,000 to you so the bank would not foreclose on the condo. I could have said you promised me it was mine. But I did not. I sat there swallowing my shame, watching them congratulate my brother for a gift that I had paid for in parts. I saw my parents receiving praise for being generous, and I felt like I could not breathe. I held out for about half an hour more without enjoying anything, until I just could not anymore. I got up slowly, grabbed my purse, and left. Nobody stopped me. They did not even notice. I made the drive back to Dallas as if on autopilot. It was already getting dark, and the headlights of the cars were rushing toward me. I was driving, but inside I was broken. In my head, the scene repeated over and over again. How could they? Why like this? In front of everyone. I got to the condo, poured myself a glass of wine, and sat in my living room. I looked at the walls I had painted, the floor I had installed, the kitchen I had improved. It was all years of my life, it was all my money, my effort, and now they were going to give it to Jason as a gift. Just then my cell phone vibrated. It was a message from Jason. You get out right now. You have 48 hours. I stared at the screen for a good while. 2 days. Not a week, not a call, not talking about it, just a cold message as if I were a stranger. And right then something inside me ignited. I felt a deep anger that I cannot explain. It was not just anger. It was a mix of pain and betrayal. They thought they could do whatever they wanted with me, take my home, take my money, humiliate me in front of everyone, and still demand that I leave quietly. As always, I grabbed my cell phone and called my friend Jenna. We have been friends since college and she knows my family well. In fact, she is one of the few who knew my parents were like that. "Hello, Lauren," she answered. "How was the engagement party?" "Jenna, I need a favor," I told her, trying not to let my voice break. "Can I stay with you for a few days? I need to find a place to live." "Of course you can. What happened? Are you okay?" "I will explain later. Right now I need to get out of here." There was a second of silence and then she told me, "My brother Ryan transferred to Houston for work a month ago. He is going to be gone a long time. His house is empty. You already know it. Remember we went there once? You can stay there as long as you need. I will not charge you rent. You just pay the utilities." Tears of pure relief fell from my eyes. "Thank you," I told her. "Truly thank you." I hung up and sat there taking a deep breath. And then as I looked at my living room, an idea came to me. An idea that at that moment felt like justice. They wanted to take ownership of everything I had built. They wanted me to leave, leaving my money stuck in the walls. No. That night I made calls. First to a moving service to book a date urgently. They charged me more because of the rush, which was logical, but they gave me a spot for the next day. Then I called a maintenance technician recommended by a neighbor in the building. One of those who work well and carefully. I explained what I needed and told him something very clear. I did not want to damage anything that was not mine. "Ma'am," he told me, "if it is yours and it is removable, it can be done, but we have to do it with care." That was exactly what I wanted. I asked him to help me disconnect and remove my kitchen appliances, the refrigerator, stove, and dishwasher. I also took the light fixtures I had bought, and I told him the laminate floor was floating and could be lifted plank by plank, leaving what was underneath. I still kept some old things that had been stored in a storage unit. Simple light fixtures and basic pieces because I always save the old stuff when I remodel just in case. The next day they arrived early in the morning. I was there with coffee in hand, watching how they were calmly disconnecting everything. They took out the dishwasher, disconnected the refrigerator, removed the stove, took down the light fixtures I had bought, and we left some simple ones installed. We changed a couple of faucets back to the ones that were there before, which I had saved. I did not leave the place unusable. I did not break anything. I did not destroy anything. I just took what was mine. The laminate floor part took the longest. It was floating flooring so it could be lifted. And when we lifted it, underneath remained the old surface that was already there from before. It did not look pretty, but it was a floor. I packed away the laminate as if I were packing away years of effort, because that was exactly what it was. We finished late. I was exhausted, my hands trembling from fatigue and anger, but I also felt something I had not felt for a long time. Control. In the afternoon, the movers arrived. They took my furniture, my boxes, my appliances, everything. Jenna went with me to Ryan's house in Richardson. She gave me the keys and I spent the night there with no strength left but finally safe. "This is a ton of stuff," Jenna said, watching them bring up the refrigerator. "Well, I have been living there for 5 years," I answered. "I bought everything." When I finished, I grabbed the condo keys and put them in an envelope. I wrote a short note, "No drama. I already moved out as requested. The condo is available." I sent the envelope with a courier service that same afternoon so it would reach them as soon as possible. The next morning, the phone started ringing non-stop. First my mom, then my dad, then Jason. I did not answer. I let it ring. I made myself a quiet breakfast as if nothing had happened. Then the messages came. "You had no right. We are going to sue you. You left the condo empty. You are going to pay." At noon, I answered when my mom's call came in. "What did you do, Lauren?" she yelled as soon as I answered. "What did you do?" "I moved out," I said calmly. "Like you told me to." You took everything, she said, beside herself. The appliances, the light fixtures, the floor. You left the condo stripped. I took what is mine, I told her. I bought all of that. I have receipts. The floor was floating. What was already there was left underneath. You are vindictive, my mom said. How low? Low, I said. After you took it from me in front of everyone and kicked me out with 2 days' notice. My dad chimed in, yelling at me. We can press charges against you. You guys do whatever you want, I told them. I took my property. And if you want to talk to lawyers, I also have the receipt for the $30,000 transfer, and I have messages and I have everything. They went quiet. It was a silence that, I swear to you, gave me peace. My mom spoke more softly. Lauren, you did not have to do this. Look, can we fix it? We can take those $30,000 as your wedding gift to Jason. When I heard that, I felt a mix of anger and exhaustion. My gift, I repeated. So we do not keep going with this, she paused. You guys are liars, I told her. You promised me something to get money out of me. You used me, and when I was no longer useful to you, you wanted to throw me out as if I were in the way. So no, not anymore. Please, my mom said, sounding almost scared. I hung up. That same week, with a cooler head, I remembered something that, because of the shock of the other night, I had almost forgotten. The car. 3 years earlier, I had a blue Honda Civic. But when my parents started having their money problems, they asked to borrow it, just until we get settled. My dad told me back then. In a few months, we will buy another one. That was 3 years ago. I bought myself another car, and they kept using the Honda as if it were theirs. On paper, it was still in my name. I kept paying the insurance, and out of the goodness of my heart, to avoid fighting, I left it like that. So I did the right thing. I went with my documents, my ID, and the title, and I looked up the procedure. I was not going to do anything underhanded. With everything in order, I arranged for a professional vehicle recovery service to recover a vehicle that was my property. I was present when they picked it up. I showed the papers, I signed what I had to sign. Everything was recorded. When the driver loaded it up, my parents came out yelling, but they could not do anything if they did not have the documents. Ma'am, the driver told me. It is all set. I took it to a safe place, and yes, I had a copy of the keys saved since always, just in case. No mystery there. That day my cell phone blew up again. Calls, messages, insults. I did not answer, but I read some messages and I went cold. You are stealing the car from us. We need it for work. We do not have money for another one. You are a bad daughter. And the worst of all was from Jason. You are a disgrace. Do not come near my wedding. That was where, for the first time in days, a real laugh came out of me, not a pretty one, not a happy one, a laugh of disbelief. I blocked everyone, my mom, my dad, Jason, everyone. I was not going to listen to complaints from people who had taken my home and my money and still wanted me to apologize. A few weeks later, I put the Honda up for sale. It was well maintained with up-to-date maintenance. I sold it for a fair price. When the sale went through and I saw the money reflected in my account, I did not feel euphoria. I felt something better, relief. I did not get the $30,000 back. Of course not. But I got something back, and above all, I got my dignity back. I was no longer the one who just took it. Shortly after, Stephanie called me. I recognized her number because, truth be told, we always got along well. From time to time, we would send each other messages, nothing out of the ordinary. Hello, Stephanie. I answered, and yes, I was surprised. Lauren, I need to talk to you, she told me with a tired voice. Can we meet? We met at a coffee shop in downtown Dallas, near where I worked. I arrived a little early, around lunchtime. Stephanie arrived with almost no makeup on, her eyes swollen. Nothing like the radiant bride from the party. As soon as we sat down, she blurted out, "Your parents told me everything. According to them." "I imagine," I said, with no desire to fight. "They are saying that you are the bad one," she told me. "That you are taking revenge, that you want to destroy the family, that you are envious." "And what did Jason say?" I asked, even though I already imagined it. Stephanie's face hardened. "He believed them. He said that you are greedy, that you are making drama because you are jealous of us, that you have always wanted to be the center of attention." I took a deep breath. "I understand." Stephanie looked right at me. Lauren, I knew that you lived in your parents' condo. I have been there many times. But I did not know about the $30,000. I did not know that you had saved it. I did not know that you had paid for repairs and that you paid rent. Well, now you know, I told her without sugarcoating it. Stephanie swallowed hard. I cannot marry him. I just looked at her. I cannot marry into a family that does something like that, she continued. Your parents lied to you. They took money from you, they made you look like a user in front of everyone, and then they still kicked you out. And Jason talked about you as if you were nothing, as if you were his enemy. It hurt me. It scared me. It disgusted me. I looked at her calmly. Stephanie, that is your decision. Do not do it for me. Do it for yourself. It is not just about you, she said, and her voice broke. It is about what I saw, about how they are, about what he allowed, about what he thinks. I did not argue. I did not encourage her or stop her. I just nodded because the truth was I no longer had the strength to save anyone in my family, not Stephanie, not Jason, nor my parents. Stephanie left, and I did not hear from her again until about a month later when my Aunt Linda called me. Lauren, I have to tell you something. She told me seriously. What happened, Aunt Linda? Stephanie broke up with Jason, she blurted out. The engagement is off. There is no wedding anymore. I stayed silent for a second. Your parents are furious, my aunt continued. Jason too. And they are blaming you. They say that you filled her with poison. Of course, I said with a dry laugh. God forbid they take responsibility for what they did. My aunt lowered her voice. How are you? Are you okay? I am okay, I told her. And it was true. I am living peacefully. I do not pay rent. I am saving like never before, and I do not have to put up with their games. I am glad that you finally stood up for yourself, my aunt said. It was about time. That call was 6 months ago. Since then, I have continued living in the house of Ryan, Jenna's brother. I take care of it. I keep it clean. I pay for electricity, water, gas, internet. Jenna tells me that her brother is doing well over there in Houston for work, that he does not plan to return anytime soon, so I can stay as long as I need. And I have been saving with a discipline that was not possible for me before. Without rent, I save almost double what I saved before. I have already gathered enough for a down payment, and I am looking at condos, mine for real this time, in a quiet area. I am not looking for luxury, but a decent, nice place where nobody can tell me, you get out, as if I were an object. My parents and Jason have tried to reach out to me through relatives to talk, to fix things, saying that it is in the past, but I was very clear. I am not interested. They made their decision the day they lied to me, took my money, and embarrassed me in front of everyone. I have already made mine. Does it hurt not having a family like before? Sometimes, yes, of course. But I do not miss always feeling like second best. I do not miss being used. I do not miss being manipulated. I do not miss them making me feel like I am in the way. And yes, Jason's wedding getting canceled was a bonus that I did not plan. It was not my goal, but I do not feel guilty about it either. Stephanie deserves something better than entering a family of lies and manipulation. And Jason also deserved to face consequences, even if it was with something he cared about, just like they wanted to take away my home as if it were nothing. I am angry, but not like before. I am disappointed. It hurt to see how easy it was for them to throw me away, but above all, I am relieved. They can keep their favoritism, their stories, and their games. I already have my life, and this time I am going to build it right my way, and without asking anyone for permission. Comment. I really hope this story made you pause and reflect for a moment. For me, it is a powerful reminder of how much self-respect matters in every relationship. I want you to know that it is completely okay to set firm boundaries, even with family. Being kind does not mean you have to accept being taken advantage of. Sometimes walking away is the most responsible choice you can make for your own peace. True healing begins when we stop allowing others to diminish our worth. You deserve to be treated with the same care and respect you give to others. Take a moment to check in with yourself and make sure your boundaries are being honored. Choosing peace and protecting your dignity is one of the strongest things you can do. I am truly proud of anyone who decides to put themselves first in a healthy way. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.